Welcome to Wholehearted Healing with Jo, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey of healing body, mind, and soul. I'm Jo, a manual osteopath and holistic health coach, here to help women like you reconnect with your authentic self, release what no longer serves you, and step into your highest potential. Together, we'll explore empowering tools, have soulful conversations, and transformative practices to guide you toward wholehearted living. Whether it's emotional healing, physical alignment, or finding balance in your life, this is your space to grow, heal, and thrive. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin this beautiful journey together. Welcome to another episode of Wholehearted Healing with Jo. Today we're going to be talking about exhaustion, and it's something that a lot of us deal with, a lot of women especially. And I wanted to talk about this because it's actually something I've dealt with, still do deal with at times, but it's such a prevalent thing in our society that we are tired. And I'm not just talking about like a little bit of fatigue or a little bit of tiredness. I'm talking like you're waking up feeling tired, you're waking up drained, you are running off of caffeine and anything to kind of boost your energy. At the end of the day, you probably have no energy at all. You're zoning out, scrolling on social media, watching TV, and just like feeling like even the things that you do want to put energy and effort into, like that you are excited about, you're like, I don't even have the energy to go do that, right? Like you're just so drained. And so we're going to talk about really the reason behind that. And it's more than just your sleep schedule or what you've got going on during your day. Those things do play a part in what I'm going to talk about, but they're not the real reason of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So we're going to talk about that because it does go way deeper than what you may believe. I do have my tea here. I also have my computer, my laptop. So if you're seeing me looking to the side, you're looking at my, I'm looking at my notes here, just so I can kind of stay on track for you guys. But the truth is around exhaustion and feeling this sense of feeling so drained is really around your nervous system. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit of like why that is and how this influences you. A lot of things can influence our nervous system. We can have emotions we're holding on to. We can have like stress in our life, right? Like things that are going on, tension in our bodies, right? Maybe our bodies physically aren't doing well, or like we're sick, or we're just not feeling good, right? Like we've got symptoms. And all of this, when we're carrying all of these different things, life, our own needs, the needs of others, our finances, our relationships, whatever the thing is, it can build on us, right? It can create a lot of tension and stress that we hold on to. And we can kind of get into this space where we're not coming out of the stress, right? We're chronically in this state of stress. It throws our nervous system off, and then our sleep gets turned off. Not really turned off, but it can be turned off depending on how good or not good you're sleeping. And sometimes you can sleep, and I experience this a lot. You can sleep fully throughout the night, like you're getting, 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep, but and you're like, well, why am I so tired? Because I'm sleeping through the night, right? Like it's not like I'm waking up. It's not like I'm not falling asleep. And sometimes it's the quality of sleep that you're getting because of the stress, right? So maybe you're not going into deeper sleep. You're not getting REM sleep. So you're not going into those different phases of sleep itself. And then that can be because of the nervous system. It can be because of the stress that you're experiencing. And when there's that dysregulation and you're not able to fully relax, you're not going to be able to sleep well. When we're in a state of rest or we're trying to actually sleep at night, we are supposed to be in our parasympathetic nervous system. But if we're in a state of chronic stress, we have a hard time coming down into that system. And so they can come in and out of this, of having good moments of sleep and bad moments of sleep, or just like periods of our life where we're feeling more tired than others. But this general state of stress will inhibit us from being able to have a good night's rest, even if we're sleeping throughout the night. So what this can kind of like look at, it basically kind of keeps you almost like in a bit of survival mode, because again, you're in that heightened state of stress, or just this nervous system that is dysregulated or just chronically in the fight or flight state. And if you want to know what state you're in, I actually just created a quiz, which I'll leave the link for you in the show notes here or in the description box, depending on where you're watching this or listening to this. But It's also on my Instagram, but there's a quiz that I created that tells you which state of your nervous system, like which stress response you're in or typically in. And with that, it gives you suggestions as to like how you can kind of work through it and how you can kind of navigate through it. So it gives some tips and some suggestions for you of how you can navigate that. So if you're interested in that, definitely look at that. But when we're in the space of stress, we're not feeling our best, we're tired, we're drained, right? It's gonna look like waking up tired, right? Like you just had a full night's rest and you're like already exhausted. You're like, I literally just woke up. Like this doesn't make any sense, right? You might also feel like you're wired, but you're tired. So you know when you're like, you're exhausted at the end of the day, but you like can't seem to fall asleep, right? Where you're just like, your mind's running, it's all over the place. That can be like this wired but tired space where you're like, I should be able to fall asleep because it has been a busy day. I am tired, but it's like, or my body is tired and mentally I'm tired, but my mind is just like running. You may also feel like you always need coffee or caffeine to function. And so that is, again, kind of your body trying to just run on like cortisol, and it needs the coffee to upregulate you all the time, right? Or the caffeine. You might also struggle to focus, stay present, just even like calculate or like organize your thoughts, right? Like things may feel kind of overwhelming in a sense, but from a mental perspective. And this, you might notice a lot at like your job or maybe even dealing with kids if you have children at home. And it can also look like crashing at the end of your day. So you just want to sit and scroll, you want to numb out. You're maybe feeling like, I just want to sit and watch this Netflix series, all evening. And again, we can also then fall into that category of like, we're a little bit wired but tired, where we're just like staying up and watching stuff. And even though we should be going to bed, or, just not making the best choices for ourselves based on what our nervous system state is doing. And so again, depending on what state of your nervous system you're kind of stuck in, and there's 4, there's your fight, there's flight, there's fawn, and there's freeze. So those are the 4 types. And so depending on what one you find yourself in, it's going to give you different symptoms, which is why the quiz is so good. But this is why you feel like I'm absolutely exhausted. I feel like I just ran a marathon, but nothing's changed, right? Like nothing's happening, nothing's changed. I'm not doing anything differently. I was in a little bit of like, we'll call it like a burnout. And I've kind of shared the story a little bit before about like how I took myself off of coffee, because I was like only having 1 coffee a day at this point, but I would have a coffee in the morning, and then I was starting to get all these like crazy symptoms, wasn't feeling good, like nauseous, dizzy, like just felt really weird, getting like flush, like getting a lot of like heat flash almost like type things, or a hot flash. But it was all stress related, and I would get these headaches. And then I would also get like very hot and flush only in my face sometimes. So I was getting a lot of like symptoms like that. And when I took the caffeine out, because I was noticing it was happening when I was like after I had the coffee, and then like my afternoon crash from the coffee. So when I took that out, all those symptoms went away. But what I also noticed is that I was no longer like absolutely exhausted at 5 p.m. Like for some reason, I was all of a sudden like at 5 o'clock, I could go to bed. Like I was so tired. And even just to make it to like 9 o'clock at night, I was just like absolutely wiped. And so what I noticed was when I took the caffeine out, I was actually able to, like I wasn't tired at 5. Like it felt like no big deal to just stay up to like a normal bedtime. And so I realized like how much, obviously the symptoms going away, but also I was realizing like how much my nervous system was very much being taxed by the coffee that I was consuming. Now, I am a little bit more of a high stress person to begin with, so that's probably why the coffee wasn't working well. And it's not like everybody can't have coffee, it's just something that I noticed for myself. But it's just a good telltale sign of like how something as simple as your nervous system and how dysregulated you can be throws off not only the quality of your sleep, because I wasn't sleeping good at that point either, but also it's also influencing the feeling of like just being tired for no real good reason, right? And in that sense, I was almost like overstimulated, right? Because coffee is going to stimulate you. So how can we actually break free of this exhaustion? So if it's all about our nervous system, we want to think of things that are supportive for our nervous system. So more basically, we can kind of start to slow down. We can start to listen to our body and what we actually need. Look at why we're even stressed in the first place and what's maybe going on in our lives, like taking a deeper look and understanding like what's showing up for me or what's happening for me that is putting me in this state, right? Is it the job? Is it, the kids? Is it all the things that we've got going on as a family? Is it my finances? Because there might be a very specific thing that's going on in your life that, yeah, you can't really like ignore that, or you can't make it go away sometimes right away. But what you can do is you can start to do things that support your nervous system a little bit more, so that, and especially before you go to bed for the sleep component, to help you get a better, deeper rest so that you're waking up feeling better. But I can almost guarantee that once you take the stress or what is stressing your body or taxing your body out of the equation, then things will typically improve. So we want to like slow down, and we don't want to keep pushing through. So especially when you're feeling tired, pushing through is not going to feel better. Like sometimes we literally just have to take that pressure off of ourselves as well to like not do more. I know I was like this a lot, where I would pressure and push myself. Like I would just be like, oh, well, like I'm just tired. So like, but I have to get this done. So I have to keep going. And sometimes I didn't need to keep going. I didn't need to do that thing. It could have waited till like tomorrow or the next day. And if I would have just listened to myself, I probably would have made myself feel a whole lot better. And it makes me think of like canceling plans. It's like when you're like stressed out or you're nervous or worried about plans and you really don't want to go. Sometimes we do need to step outside our comfort zone for sure, but sometimes we just need a night off, right? And so when you can cancel those plans, like sometimes you just feel so much better when you already know you're tired and you need rest and you need time for yourself to look after yourself. So prioritizing you and like slowing things down, it'll be definitely important and helpful. Obviously we can do things, like I said, for our nervous system as a whole. So I talk about this all the time on here, but things like breath work or gentle movement, somatic practices. You can do like vagus nerve release techniques. Even just like doing a body scan or a meditation, like a guided one, can be supportive to help kind of down-regulate you. Those things are really good too before bed to kind of like get you into more of a parasympathetic resting state before you go into sleep, so that you're kind of already at a lower state than you were during the day. We can obviously as well release any emotions that we've been holding on to through journaling, movement, practices, right? Like any sort of practices or therapies that you like to go to. And this is just going to help us release the heaviness, the stress that we could be carrying around certain things, the burdens, right, that we carry around day to day. The more we can lighten up our energy, the better our body is going to feel. And also helping yourself rebuild a sense of trust with your body. So by doing these things, and this is what I've noticed even of like building this sense of trust, I start to understand more deeply what my body needs, because I know how it feels when it doesn't feel good, and I know how it feels when it does feel good or it feels better. And so when one can foster the relationship of like, okay, I don't feel very good right now, but I know I'm going to get out of this. I know it's temporary. I know it's not going to be long term. Then that is helpful. You also build trust when you can start to identify, like I did for myself, like, okay, the caffeine, this is, playing a role. And sometimes we need support. We need like people in our lives, whether it's coaches, therapists, practitioners, whatever, who can kind of like guide us and point those things out for us, because we can't always see it ourselves, or maybe we don't have the knowledge or the education to point it out for ourselves. But whether it's through you or getting support in finding ways that like to identify what's going on with you in the subtle cues of things is going to be super, super supportive to help you rebuild trust with your own body, so that you can start to understand how it feels for you, and identifying like, oh yeah, when I do that, I do feel like this, right? And so then we can also be compassionate with ourselves. We can say like, yeah, you know what, I don't feel very good today. I'm really tired. I'm really exhausted, but I know I had a really busy day, or I know I'm dealing with these emotions. And then you can have compassion for yourself because you know where the exhaustion's coming from. and you're not trying to push through it, and you're not trying to run away from it, and you're not trying to avoid it, you can now acknowledge it and you can look at it. And that in itself, it's like what they always say, like, you know, the first step to anything is like the awareness, the acknowledgement of this is what's going on. And once we sometimes have that, it makes the rest of the process just that much easier, because a lot of us are just searching for the answers in itself. And once we have those answers, then it's up to us to make the change, right? So if you want to actually start to wake up in the morning feeling energized, feeling like you can enjoy your cup of coffee or tea or whatever, and drink it and enjoy it, not because you need it to function, but because you genuinely enjoy it, and because you want to, and that's what you're looking for, right? And then you get to move through your day, you get to be present, you get to be energized, you get to have the mental clarity that you have wanted to have. Then like all of that is totally possible for you. And it starts with healing things like our nervous system, starting from the inside, working our way out, right? And I think with just simple tools like I gave you can be super supportive. Again, take my quiz and that'll give you a little bit more specific of like little things you can do to kind of down-regulate you, so you can kind of get into that more rested state, so you can actually heal, recover, and re-energize yourself. You can also reach out to me on not Facebook, Instagram, the other Meta app. But you can reach out to me on Instagram, and if you have any questions or anything like that, I would love to support you in that. My coaching programs, these are things that we look at in my Elevate Her coaching program. So if you have any questions about that, I do have some information on my website that I'll have linked below, but again, just reach out to me on Instagram. It's probably honestly the easiest way if you have any questions about it. But I hope this episode resonated with you. I hope it supported you. Hopefully it was educational in the sense that you realized maybe a little bit deeper as to like why you're so tired all the time. And again, I think the quiz will give a little bit more of a personalized approach for you as well. But I hope you guys, like I said, enjoyed it. I hope you are able to take some of these points, implement them, and get a little bit of your energy back, because I know how it feels to feel drained, and it freaking sucks. And it makes everything feel that much more challenging and that much more hard. And it influences our capability and our capacity to just handle life, right? And so when we don't feel good, life gets hard. And so if we can start to shift how we feel, then everything in life gets just a teensy little bit better. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you, as always, for being here and watching, liking, subscribing, joining us on the podcast. I will be back hopefully next week. Speaking of exhaustion, I was exhausted last week, so that's why we didn't have a podcast episode last week, but we will have one next week. So until next time, work on your nervous system, regain that energy, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.